Over here I've written 7 equals 7. Everyone agrees with that. 7 and 7 are obviously the same thing. If you're 7 feet tall, you're the same as 7 feet tall. There's no difference. Now what if I just change the font of this 7? Well, now the 7s look a little bit different, but they're still the same number. They're still the same thing. Whether you're 7 feet tall written like this or 7 feet tall written like this doesn't really make any difference. Even if I maybe change the color to red, whether you're 7 feet tall written in red or 7 feet tall written in black doesn't make any difference. 7 is the same thing as 7. Now, what if I do this? What if I write m equals 7? Now, even though the m and the 7 look different, they mean the same thing. They're identical. Whether you're 7 feet tall or whether you're m feet tall doesn't really make any difference. What if I write something else? What if I write h plus 3 equals 7? What this means is that h plus 3 and 7 are the exact same thing. They might look different, but they're still identical. They mean the same thing. They have the same value. Whether you're 7 feet tall or h plus 3 feet tall doesn't make any difference. It's the exact same thing. Whether you have 7 people in your family or h plus 3 people in your family, it's the same exact thing. Now, here's the glorious thing about this. Let's go back to 7 for a second. Let's go back to... We know that if I write 7 plus 3, that's the same as 7 plus 3. Cool? Now, if I write that m equals 7, that means that m is literally the exact same thing as 7. That means m plus 3 equals 7 plus 3. Let's do another one. Let's say I wrote that, let's say m plus 2 equals 11. And I'm going to actually use a different letter. Instead of m, let's use k this time. Let's say that k plus 2 equals 11. That means k plus 2 and 11 are the exact same thing. They mean the same thing. If you have 11 dogs in your house, that's the same as having k plus 2 dogs in your house. And because they're the same, I could subtract 2 from both of them and you get the same result. Now, k plus 2 minus 2 is just the same as k plus 0, which is just k, equals an 11 minus 2. That equals, guess what, 9. So this is why you can use this type of a method to solve an equation. Let's do another equation. Let's start with, let's start with n minus 5 equals 11. That means that 11 and n minus 5 are the same thing. They might look different, but they're still the same. They mean the same thing. Even though they don't look exactly the same, even though they look a little different, they mean the same thing. They're identical. They're equivalent. They're the same. So here's what you could do. You could add 5 to n minus 5. You could add 5 to the other side. You could add the same thing to both of them, and it's still going to be the same. So I can write n plus 5, n minus 5 plus 5 equals 11 plus 5. So I added 5 to both sides. Well, n minus 5 plus 5, that's just n. So I can solve this equation by writing n equals an 11 plus 5 is 16. All this comes down to this idea of realizing that even if two things are look different, they can still mean the same thing. They can still have identical values. Understanding the way that equations work is important for all of mathematics. It's going to be one of your most important skills that you do in all of math and in all of algebra.